We lose games while talking about protein sources. Welcome back, everybody. It's that time again. It's Saturday night, and of course, we're jumping into some Phobies, so let's get to it. Now, I thought I had the situation with this sorted out, the green screen not working properly, but seemingly not. I don't know. It's a lot hotter, or feels a lot hotter tonight than it did yesterday, but we'll see how tonight progresses. We'll see if we make it to some Rumbleverse tonight. I keep wanting to say Rumble Slam because that's actually another game that I have. It's not a video game. It's a physical, we'll call it a skirmish war game, but it's also wrestling based. And they have a lot of pop culture references. I've talked about it before. Non-Rico Doki, welcome back. And DT, thank you, because I did forget to do that. For why? Okay, this time I did change it, and it didn't actually change. All right, it claims it changed now. That's weird. So the first time around, I legit forgot to change the category, and then DT noted that it was not the right category, so I fixed it. I also didn't update my starting MMR from yesterday. What are we at? Not like it really matters. We'll start out with some arena tonight, chat. We'll start out with some arena and then see how the night progresses. The article for Fright Night went up today. The article for Fright Night went up, and it's super long. So if you need a sleep aid tonight, feel free to read it. Feel free to chime in on the survey that's in there. See if you can find the secret that I tucked into the article. Spoiler alert, it's at the end of the article. But hopefully people don't just cheat and go to the end. So I'm still trying to muddle through how we're going to do it. Does my account level affect the level of my opponents I meet? No, so I can show you on here. Basically, you're going to get paired within a certain strata of your league. So it's possible for you to get paired like way up or way down, hypothetically. But that would require you waiting in queue for a really long time. As far as I know, it functions similar to most other games where the matchmaking band starts narrow and then grows over time, so that way you're not waiting in queue for 300 years if there's nobody else that's at the exact same range as you, just by luck of averages sort of thing. But that does not affect your stress level, or does not take into account your stress level. So you could hypothetically meet somebody who is stress level 100 in, say, heebie-jeebies. How the hell they're still in heebie-jeebies, if that's the case, no idea, unless they just started playing and sunk in a ton of money. So your stress level doesn't impact anything as far as the pairing, but you could very easily encounter somebody who's low stress level at high ranks, or high stress level at low ranks. Which I know a lot of people have complained about, but I think makes sense. It doesn't behoove the company or even the player base to have people who are spending a lot of money automatically get paired against the best people in the game. Or they didn't play the mode. For a little while, yes, that's also true, Forgo. That's a good point. Hey, Hondo, what's good? So if you are primarily an async player or primarily arena and then you switch to the other mode, you will rank up quicker, but you do start out at the bottom. So hypothetically, somebody could be high ranked, never have tried the other mode, which is just kind of unlikely, but maybe just wasn't interested. Remember to do the highlight. Thank you, Wanda. Much appreciated, because we do have to do that. There are 2 in there. I meant to get them last night. I did pull a couple highlights from Fright Night, so I am going to batch them up, essentially, once I get them edited and all that fun stuff. Fright Night round 3, I have to render tonight after the stream, because I screwed something up right as it was about to finish, so I have to do it over again, which kind of sucks. Shower thought from earlier today. If Les Miserables were written today, it would likely be a comedy that throws out all the philosophical questions to punch down at poor people for laughs. Quick aside, everybody, before we get into the actual content, I was accepted into the Phobies Content Affiliate Program, the content creator program, you might call it. Shout out to the Phobies team, and thank you for that. But the reason I'm telling you, everybody out there, dear viewer, dear listener, is to let everybody know that I do receive some compensation from the Phobies team as a result of being part of that program. Now, I loved Phobies before, and I still love Phobies now, and I expect I will still continue to love Phobies in the future. So look forward to more Phobies content coming from Random's Thoughts. So now, on with the show. I mean, there's a lot of those, so possibly, but I don't think that it's necessarily true, because I didn't see it, but isn't like, I mean, Don't Look Up is not the same sort of thing. Like, it's not talking about the same stuff, but it's still something that isn't... I haven't watched it, so I'm paraphrasing and gleaning information from just kind of observing stuff. This is a very weird opener from our opponent. But basically my understanding is that, you know, it talks about a lot of things that are plaguing the world today as far as ignorance, we'll say. And we're going to go with the 3-3 opener. I don't know that I like this. They banked to 8, so this is a little scary. But it's talking about a variety of different things and still doesn't necessarily punch down. Don't Look Up asks similar moral questions, but a different one. Yes, that's exactly my point. I was kind of beating around the bush with this, but yes, exactly that. So holding stress level isn't a thing? Yeah, that doesn't matter. There's no benefit to waiting on stress levels as it stands today. Maybe that'll be true in the future, but right now there's literally no purpose for it. This is a little weird, but I figured we'd get this going. I figured we'd get this going because we have a panic point advantage. They could slide the Bachelor back in. This isn't a great answer to it, truthfully. I don't know. Unless for challenges. I guess. I mean, I've talked about that before, Forgo. I don't really like doing that sort of thing. I know it's definitely something that other people enjoy, but it's absolutely not my thing. And I'm not saying you were saying I'm going to do it, but yeah, I could see people trying to, like, how high can I get with only stress level 20? I don't have enough time to rank up another 2 or 3 accounts to do this. Like, that's way too much effort for what I have time for right now. The question is, can we kill this? And it's unlikely that we can.
Grows like a blossom.
This is going to be close. Not quite. We can almost get there, but not quite. Little disappointed about that. But what are you going to do? You can't have everything, right? They could go here. That doesn't do anything. You could come in with this. This is fine for now, I think. Without spoiling anything, the big question of Les Miserables is more about the ethic of court systems, the way crimes are narrow in definition. It's been a long time. Like, my wife would be ashamed of me that I don't recall more from that particular play, story, whatever. Although it was... I was about to say it recently was a movie, but wasn't it a movie like 2014 or 2015 at this point? I'll take your word on it, Tona, just because I don't remember. I don't remember. Although I think you missed our other conversation from last night, which I will probably repeat. 2012? Wow, it was even longer ago, so 10 years. So we could droney this to kill it. I don't think that's necessarily worth it. I think we'd rather position something so that it can get in and get out, kind of thing. So this can go on the spot after we kill it and then pull back. If not for the setting, I think Les Miserables plot could work almost a sequel for Don't Look Up. I wonder, so give me 1 second and then I'll get this thought out, because otherwise I'm going to stumble over the words way too much. I can't stand this map. To Luffy, that's a paddling. You're gonna summon Luffy out of the Aether. I guess this is fine. It's not really fine, but I don't know. Well, you know what? We want to get this online, though. So if anybody remembers, there was a Shakespeare Romeo and Juliet thing from, like, I want to say the early 90s. Had Leonardo DiCaprio and I forget who else in it, but basically it was a modern setting. I forget which city it was supposed to be, but I don't know if they even say it, because all the dialogue was ripped exactly from Romeo and Juliet, like identical. And the idea where I'm going with this is, if you redid Les Miserables, maybe you could do something like that, and it could literally be just dropped into a modern setting and just, I mean, I don't know it well enough. Maybe the dialogue just doesn't work that way, but hypothetically, that could be a thing. All right, so they can blow up the jar if we allow it to stay here, which we clearly don't want any of those bad things to happen. We do this. Really? That is super obnoxious. We have to meatball this freaking thing. Our opponent's playing pretty defensively, so we don't have a good way to actually deal with a lot of stuff here. By deal with a lot of stuff, I mean we can't go anywhere near them. If we do, they're going to yoink us into oblivion. But we gotta find... We're probably gonna have to lean into flyers so that way we don't get just annihilated by yoinks. Which means Murder Wing, which means Maggie, which means Pterodactyl. And that's it. Do I really only have... Well, I guess Droney and Morty. I do have Ray Chargels, but it's super underleveled and obviously not great in this scenario. Yeah, Hugh Jackman was in that film. I do remember that. I also don't think the 2012 film is that great of an adaptation because it leaves out a lot of pretty important plot points, but it's a version most people will be familiar with. Well, most likely just because it's the most recent. That being said, the people who know Les Miserables know it. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody in conversation brings up that play of their own accord, they know it very well. Like, it's one of their favorites kind of thing. Almost to a person. I don't think I've ever met somebody who said that they don't like it. If they're into that sort of thing. I mean, there's plenty of people that I've met that don't like those sort of things because they're just not into theater. Hopefully that makes sense. Now you see why I can't stand this map. It always becomes a long, drawn-out stall battle between one keys. That isn't necessarily true. Here, it happens to be my game plan because I can't really commit into double yoinks. Whereas if I had a tractor, if I had Smother Mother, if I had my own Octonauty, I could threaten other things. But right now, I'm just kind of SOL. There's no real way for me to interact with this board state in a meaningful capacity right now. So what we're going to do is, in fact... That's 600... 8 and 6 is 14. This won't die if it ends up here. Or should not. I think this is okay. So the idea here is we're going to try and dive the spider if we can help it. I don't think we can get it without overextending. Without, I needed more support. I'd probably jar here. Maybe move this up. But then this gets yoinked. I don't really like that idea. I started to like this map because I have many boops and yoinks. Exactly. I do too, but in some wolf battles, the battle is almost always so slow. I just move Phobies around all game. I've talked about this before, but I think that there's... Ooh, a dozer. I think there's something to be said about long, drawn-out, single-key trade games where it's just both players playing suboptimally. And I know I do this too, so I'm not trying to attack anybody here. But the point is I think that it boils down to people are playing incorrectly if that is the case. Why? Because that means that somebody is probably missing an opportunity. It's possible both players are playing optimally and therefore you can't actually push. But the more likely scenario, I think, is that somebody's making an error and it's causing the game to drag out. When I say somebody, I mean both players. Also kind of confused with pulls with dimensionals into the pit, because sometimes the death trigger triggers and sometimes it doesn't. The only time it will trigger, if you yoink a dimensional, the only time I think it would trigger is if you killed the dimensional with the actual yoink. If you pull them into the pit, it never activates. Should never activate is the key word here. They have 12 keys. I'm not entirely sure what we need to set up here, truthfully. If you're here, neither of you can hit this here. I think we can kill this relatively safely if they try and come after us. Maybe not. Alright, we're gonna wait. We still have 6 keys, they have 12. That's kind of scary. If you use Eternal Night Bachelor, the pull will have to kill them, so pull on the stim will immediately kill them. That's why the pull from Dimensional Death is still active. If they survive the pull, they don't die. Pull from Dimensional Death didn't activate. Exactly, Honda. Exactly. I pulled the Stabby with a pull that didn't kill normally, only from the pit. It must have been a bug. Yeah, we'd have to see it for go. If you know which game it is, we could look at it, but it definitely should not be pulling your guys into the pit unless there's actually a kill. Like, the pull damage itself is the kill. You know what's weird is Octonauty is obviously supposed to be an octopus. It's some sort of cephalopod, but its legs turn into like these razor-looking spines kind of thing at the bottom, and then flexes to a curl. I know octopi can like squeeze into something the size of a quarter. You know, like they can actually squeeze into an insanely small space. But making their tentacles into claws might be a step beyond, I don't know. It's already way past gone, gotcha. It's like letting them die on lava. Yeah, I get that's a good comparison. So our opponent needs to do something at some point. We do have the panic point advantage, but it's like 1,000 turns out. They're going to vomit on these 2 points most likely. So they actually don't have to do something. I have to do something. But the question is, how do I set something up here? I'm not even sure what I can set up. Like, we'll be able to yoink the honey bear, I guess, because it can move here and then I pull it. Then I can body block with the pterodactyl. Did you hear the 50-plus foot squid really wild? Its legs are like noodles. It seemed like a jellyfish. Scientists think it's a whole... I didn't realize, because, I mean, giant squid are a thing. So I didn't know that this was something unique among them. Oh, this might be dead because of the stem. Is there a shortcut for undo or rollback? I don't think so. I don't believe so. Yeah, this is probably dead. This was an error. Oh, this is absolutely dead. Holy shit. You could even kill it with the spider. Yeah, they probably just weren't sure if they wanted to do that. It's not new because of its size, but because of its shape. Interesting. No, I didn't see that. I'm going to have to look that up. That's interesting. So we have to get, like, both of these this turn in order to make this terrible trade even remotely worthwhile. Obviously, that's not going to happen, but we can certainly try.
Taught and retaught is sure as torture. Those that fear you make you stronger. That felt quite therapeutic.
Yeah, we don't quite kill this, unfortunately. So we're not out of the woods yet. I kind of think we maybe need to do this because it's tankier. Because this is going to get hit by the Bachelor on the stem, which isn't going to kill either of them, but still is representing a bunch of damage, so it's not good. There's always something new deep down in the sea. The ocean is a vast and intensely horrifying place. Like, people worry about aliens from space, and, like, if you look at some of the animals that live right now, not even talking ancient history, right now in the ocean, it is incredible. Like, it's absolutely incredible. The variation and even the specificity of all the different animals and species. It's incredible. For real, some of the molten lava slugs, people didn't know animals could actually survive hot temperatures. Well, I mean, we knew about, I don't know when we discovered those, or when we discovered tardigrades, but people knew that animals could survive supreme temperatures, but I don't think people knew to the extreme that those particular ones can. I'm scared about the sea too, especially if the watercolor is dark blue. I saw a podcast where a dude said it would be scarier if aliens didn't exist rather... Well, that's the paradox, right? I forgot the name of it, but it's a famous paradox of... And ultimately it does lead... Ultimately it does lead to that question, but it's... if there's so many worlds and law of averages, we should have found other intelligent species, or they would have found us. But we haven't, and it's weird. But the question then becomes, like, which is worse? If we are not the only species, intelligent species in the universe, which clearly not. If there's other life, there will be other intelligent life. Or is it scarier if we are?
Exquisite.
Part of me says save this to block, but I don't think that's actually going to realistically happen. So this still has the yoink, but it would have to move. You end up like here. No, you would end up here. That would not be good. We have max amount of phobies. Fantastic. We actually need something in this spot, but we can't do that yet. We're not under an enormous amount of pressure. We can wait it out for now. For a little bit, anyway. This is going to force the Mildred to play a little more defensively. What they're probably going to do is move it where Bachelor is. Again, we want the spider here, but we just can't. Maybe what we should have done was swing Crush more and put this block back. I got -1 from a win. You're that high up there, Akune? You're losing points for winning? That's the problem with ELO. That is a thing that can happen in ELO systems. Like, that's not necessarily abnormal, depending on the circumstances. If they're advanced like us, we think then they know how man is and have been studying us for a very long time. I mean, it depends on how advanced we're talking, but I hear what you're saying. People fear snakes even though they can only bite you, but people can do well a lot. I mean, that's true. Stupid dragon ads keep coming. What, for the new Game of Thrones thing? I think aliens have found us, but they refuse to be acknowledged because of how destructive we are. I mean, that's a common theory, that they're just observing humans. But I would think any intelligent species... I mean, maybe they worked out the game theory, and it's like, there's no way that we can interact with humanity without it going catastrophically wrong. Maybe that's the thing. There's no way we kill this, but... So they can vomit next turn. Still have max phobies. I don't know if this Crushmore dies here. It might. We need them to extend just like one step more, let us blow something up, and then we might be able to win the trades back and forth. The question is not whether aliens exist, but whether they exist in a reasonable window of space or time. Also true. I mean, I was referencing, there is, I wish I could remember the name of the paradox. It's so-and-so's paradox, but, like, that was a question posed years ago, like, a long time ago. Not, like, in the last 10 years kind of thing. But, yeah, law of averages is the Fermi paradox. That doesn't sound familiar, but I'll take your word on it. Like, that could be the case. I haven't looked it up in years. It's one of those things, like, you just remember, you learn it, and then you don't really keep it in mind. So we're up, but only by a hair. We'll probably be behind after this. But yeah, like, by sheer numbers, there's no way that there are not other intelligent species. It just... The universe is too big, right? It's just not possible. By sheer luck. Now, I mean, maybe, and I don't know if people have thought, like, somebody who's put more thought into the 3 seconds that I did is like, what if all the other intelligent species were as or more destructive than humanity and they've all wiped themselves out? But even then, on a long enough timeline, you're going to get more evolutions of more intelligent species. So again, we're kind of back to square one. Hey, Taco, what's good? How much is this going to do? 1,100? So they can move Mildred into range, and we're going to annihilate it. The snowball is arguably our most sacrificial phobie here. They may get these two, because the splash from Mildred is going to be like 500, 650 or so. 14, like they might get it. I don't know, we're going to go with this and see. We don't want to move anything to the south because it'll get yoinked back. And then when something dies, we can backfill with a 1 cost, cap this again. No, devs, which are so proud of their matchmaking, should put a limit on how low it can get. Just set to minimum +1 because you're doing the exact opposite of a nice gaming experience. I mean, have they talked about that, Akune? Because in all seriousness, this is a normal ELO problem. It should have been accounted for. I would imagine that it's a bug, and I hope you submit it as a bug report, but it is not uncommon in ELO systems to literally tell people, stop playing. And I mean, I'm sure you know, but I think it's worth talking about after the game so people understand what I'm talking about. But there are competitive ranking systems that effectively tell you, once you hit a certain point, stop playing. Because it's only going to hurt you. Which is why most of them introduce some sort of system like what you're describing to compensate. Had some chicken and rice. I appreciate the daily taco dinner update. We'll call it that. Like, dinosaurs are so distant from us in time, even if they inhabited the same planet as us. Yeah, I mean, there was something I was reading the other day that, we just recently discovered a star, I think. I think it was a star. I forget what it was, or maybe it was the whole galaxy. But basically, and I forget the name of the term, which is going to drive me nuts, but basically, they are so far away, and because of the expansion of the universe, neither of us can ever interact with the other in any meaningful capacity. Because we're expanding, you'll never, and we don't have faster than light travel, we're never going to get there, is what it boils down to. Which is kind of crazy to think about. Wait a second. Or I could just do this. I was going to try and kill it, and it's like, or I could just get it, like, right meow. Whole Mildred, yep. I realized it afterwards, Honda. I was like, wait a minute. I was thinking for a second, I'm like, wait a minute. Something about this is fishy. Sorry, I was getting excited talking science and science fiction and stuff like that, chat. You got me excited, chat. Yeah, the Mildred didn't even get to attack. That's the hilarious part. It legitimately didn't even get to attack. It already happened to me in the past, and Dev said they will check if they were surprised on hearing that. It could just be there's a bug, and systems get complicated. I'm gonna have a bunker under my zoo? What? I feel like time creates peace because of experience, so it would be an odd assumption to think other creatures would be as destructive. We're all babies after all. I mean, there's nothing to say that things don't become more destructive. The reason that and we can go into this after the game, but like, for example, if you look at nature, things will consume as they need, right? But there are certain species that are super invasive and would destroy everything if they get introduced to a different environment because their concern is their own survival. There's no reason to believe that another species would not be worse than humans. There's no reason to believe that another species wouldn't be better than humans. Because if you think about it, potentially the more aggressive you are, if you're just wiping out everything else that you go up against, assuming you have the technology to just kind of like congeal and absorb all the resources, we may have tilted our opponent. Maybe that works out better for their evolutionary cycle, you know what I mean? I had a cold cut sandwich with some chips because I was busy, didn't really get a good time to cook. You know, Tono, that actually sounds pretty good. I should eat more sandwiches lately just because it's so hot that I've been eating a lot of salads kind of thing, both because it's healthier and in general, like, it's cooler to eat. It doesn't heat up the house from cooking. It's not a warm meal going into you, sort of thing. You know, there's a number of positives. Like I said, philosophies are my favorite part of your streams. I appreciate that. I mean, we can talk about it after the game. There's a couple things that I want to talk about. So we may be launching into one of those things that, I don't know if people like it. Out in YouTube land, we'll say. But we'll finish up this game. I'm pretty sure we tilted our opponent with the Mildred pull. Or maybe they AFK'd after the Mildred pull. Like, they didn't mean to do that. I thought we were going to kill everything here, so I wasn't really paying attention. We possibly could have ended this in a more efficient manner, but whatever.
Crushing their spirit
GG.
was a crushing.
GG. I'm rewatching Monument Mythos, and boy, it hasn't changed as scary as it ever was. I've never heard of that, Taco. What is that? I'm legitimately not familiar with that. The interesting thing about humans are pretty much the only species that targets their own species for resources. Most of our wars were over resources that would typically steal from other species. I mean, that's not true. Well, I mean, it is true because you said pretty much the only species. We're absolutely not the only species on this planet, not counting other planets, obviously, that does stuff like that. The primary one that I'm thinking of is basically anything in the insect world. They just don't give a fuck. Like, insects are heinous. Like, what they do to each other. And it's funny because you look at bugs and it's like, man, they are horrible. Like, they just do terrible things. And, like, they will just demolish everything in their path. And then you look at humans and it's like, well, about that. I hope the arena timer will work like Legends of Runeterra if we do our act quickly enough, like 10 seconds next turn, we get extra time. There are other games that did that, Onda. That would be pretty cool. Has that been suggested? Or if it hasn't been suggested, throw it in. I think somebody suggested that before. There are other games that do that. So we're probably going to be doing a little philosophy and random topic stuff. So if you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to let me know in the comments. If you watched the previous arena game that we just finished, you probably heard some of it. So we're going to be talking a little bit about it, probably mixing it in throughout the stream. But let me know if you like these sections down in the comments. Or come by the live stream if you want to participate. RTChompGG over on Twitch. Likes and subscribes. Blah, blah, blah. You got it. The fun thing is, the difference of ELO between me and my opponent was not even that high. In other similar matches, I always got plus 10, so I really hope it's a bug. Until now, I've never seen anyone reporting this bug, yet it seems like I'm the only one who got it twice. So, based on what you're saying, Akune, absolutely, that sounds like a bug. So we have two topics. One is the ELO thing, which I want to get through, and then we can do the more esoteric, talking about aliens thing. And the terribleness of humanity. But, so, ELO systems. I need some water for this one. ELO systems. What is an ELO system? Basically, the idea is that when you rank players, you want, if I'm Claus, I'm the number 1 person on the ladder, or I'm Hakune, who brought this point up, number 4 person on the ladder, 35-59. If they beat me, that's expected. If I beat them, That is unexpected. I am the underdog, at least as far as the system's concerned. Now, in general, yes, I'm way worse than these players. But the idea is that whoever is the favorite should win statistically, so they should get less points than the underdog winning. They should get more points in order to close the gap. The system is then self-correcting, because if somebody who just starts the game is a savant, they'll rank up quickly as they just clobber everybody. But somebody like Claus or Hakune or whoever's in the top 10, beating up on somebody in the 1,000th place means nothing. Now, they shouldn't be playing that person. I'm still scrolling. I don't know why. But they shouldn't be playing that person. Why? Well, if the matchmaking system is working, I'm doing this just so we can get back to the top. If the matchmaking system is working, Hakune should never meet somebody who's in heebie-jeebies. I think everybody can agree with that. If they did, you would expect that Hakune would get virtually no points, and if they lost, they would lose a ton of points, and the other person would gain a gazillion, right? I think that all logically makes sense. The problem is that in ELO systems, when you get to the top of the ladder, and this has happened, like, factually, this has been observed in tons of games. My experience has been through Magic, but ELO existed in chess and other games way before that, where players were encouraged to not play because, say, your rating qualified you for a tournament. Once you hit a certain threshold, you could not play anymore, especially in like your local events, because the risk, even if you won, was that you would lose points because you were playing against people that were arguably way below your skill level according to the system, and therefore you would end up hurting yourself. God forbid you lost, and of course in card games there is variance. Phobies, you know, somebody just started, wailed the crap out of the game and then beat you, sort of thing. Let's just throw that out there. But they are low on the ladder because they just started out. That would cost you a gazillion points, so it incentivizes you to not play. Obviously, in Phobies, there seems to be some sort of bounding for it, where primarily you're getting plus 10, minus 10 points each time. But there are variances, and I don't know what causes it. Hakune is reporting the bug that they actually got minus 1 points for winning, and this is the second time. So it seems to be a bug, an outlier. But, like I said, it wouldn't be abnormal, and that's why ELO systems and ladders in general are bad. I mean, I think ladders are bad. They are fine for what their purpose is, but they are bad in the grand scheme of things because they don't provide a meaningful metric for people to really gauge anything. Often they just evolve into who plays the most. So you'd rather run tournaments. I mean, I'm plugging Fright Night, but not intending to plug Fright Night or other content creators' tournaments, for that matter, because there are a number of others. But events are better and more meaningful and generally more fun. Ladders tend to grind and drag on, and they're fine that they exist. I think they should exist, but I think they are an inferior option. So I was saying they were bad. I'll clarify to say they're inferior. But the problem is ELO creeps its way in because you need a reasonable way to rank people, and then if you don't mess with the ELO, then you end up with these sort of situations, although it sounds like it shouldn't exist, because again, bug. However, if you start messing with the ELO, then you are artificially introducing wrinkles into the ranking anyway. It's weird. It's big and weird. Doomsday players and Sum of All Fears players are two different levels too. I ran through Doomsday. Absolutely. Like, it's absolutely true when you look at the different leagues. You can definitely feel when you graduated and it's like, oh, I'm cruising. And then you get to the next tier and it's like, oh, I'm getting my dick knocked in the dirt. Like, there's a big difference. I see chat still talking about the bug thing. We'll get to that in a second. The big thing in Mythgard's favor, the built-in tournament client felt amazing. I need to remember to suggest that, to the devs. I brought it up, and I want to do an official suggestion. And I put it in the write-up today, which if you're watching this on YouTube, go check out my website. Links in the description. I did a big write-up on Fright Night number 3. Hopefully by the time this goes live, Fright Night number 4 will be on the way or already done. We'll see. But one of the things I suggested is that the devs should have an in-client tournament system, and not only that, they should have a in-client queue system. Both. The tournament system would handle bigger events. Maybe you allow people to organize events like Mythgard. But it's not a small undertaking. By no means am I saying, oh, devs, come on, hop to it. I understand. I think it's a thing that should be built, but I understand the work involved. The other piece is the queues, where you could just queue up and play an 8-person single elimination queue for experience, for packs, for coffee, for whatever, tiers. I think that would be awesome, and I think it would be a great way to supplement things. You could even have it as a sync, so that people who, which we don't need, but you could have that where, you know, it's a resource sink, so that you have to spend something to get in. Realistically, I don't think that is necessary, because if you only give out to, like, the winner or second place or top 4 or something, and even give out a minuscule amount, it's not going to negatively impact the economy from the devs' perspective in any huge capacity. I have to do a separate video on this, because I have a lot of thoughts about it. So, what was the other thing? The thing is, the point rewards doesn't look to be based on ELO difference, or at least if there it is, then tell me. Devs should tell how many points are given, because it would be easier to play. I agree, Akune, but it sounds like this bug is so rare that they never expected it. Hey, Diego, I have no idea how to actually pronounce your name. That is way too long, but GG. Oh, were you my last opponent? Were you my last opponent? Because you said great game. I'm assuming so. If it was, then GG. But welcome, welcome. Oh, okay. When you said great game, I wasn't sure if you were the last person I played. That's why. But welcome either way. You're only level 29. Gotcha. I'm with you on that, Onda. I kind of wish Heebie-Jeebies was higher. I clicked on the wrong thing. Like, Heebie-Jeebies is... just the name is also cool. Some of All Fears, honestly, feels kind of lame, and so does Doomsday and Primals. I like Heebie-Jeebies, Horrors, and Strangers, but I feel like these 3 should be switched. So it should be Strangers, Horrors, Heebie-Jeebies. I don't know. Heebie-Jeebies feels like the cutesy, scared thing, so maybe not. I get it. Hey, Rodizio. I'm going to do the highlights after we get through all this, but thank you, Onda. I was mentally thinking that, but didn't say it out loud. So the other piece, I think that's all the stuff to say about ELO for now. I mean, if people have other questions or comments about it, I'm fine. And there are beetles, like, there are tons of things that are in the insect and marine world that just do horrendous, heinous things to each other. Like, yes, ants will fight other ants, but there are tons of aggressive winged, stinging insects, like, whether it's killer bees, it's murder hornets. I mean, yes, you hear about it, or at least I used to as a kid. Every few years, we'd be like, oh, this is the year that the killer bees are going to take over the entire United States. And inevitably, it's like, yes, but we have pesticide. And I'm pretty sure they haven't evolved to survive poison yet. So, it was always a common, not a common thing, but, like, it would come up periodically. And I think there are a number of other species, and people, let me know down in the comments if you, what's your favorite terrible bug species? Like, there are a variety of things. Humans are unique in the sense that they have evolved to the point where they can actually negatively impact way more, like, scope-wise, than any other species. Just because, I mean, I don't think we need to go into the details, but I think everybody can imagine what humans are capable of, right? You can shoot a tarantula with a toy tank in that game. That sounds like Grounded. Do I have all the common phobies? I don't know, because I don't know how to... Like, there's no way to sort it. I probably do? Question mark? But I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure. But yeah, I don't know. Just count? Well, how many are there? I don't know how many there are. That's the problem. Like, we could count up the commons, but I don't know how many we're talking. There's 35 commons, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 33, 34. Apparently I'm missing one. No, there it is, 35. Alright, so we got them all. Alright, chat, let's take a look at the highlights. Took a little break talking about some random stuff, although it mixed into the end of the game, so if you're interested in another weird esoteric discussion, check the end of the arena game. Taco, are you in chat? Because I'm looking at Discord, and any thoughts on the suggestion I posted in the official Phobies Discord? What was it? Let's take a peek at these highlights. We got a Taco one to start. Alright, so turn 14. Pay attention to the terror. Okay. Alright, here we go. Let's see what this highlight is. We got a pterodactyl down here. Oh, we start off with a solid sheep hit from Taco here. Oh, baby. Wait, what? What? Chat. What? I can't click on it. I can't click on the bones. Why is this pterodactyl not dead? This is a weird highlight. Future me, you gotta make sure that you have a marker for YouTube for this. Chat, if anybody can tell me why this pterodactyl didn't die, I would love to know. Maybe because it's dead on the panic points first and then get pulled? But it doesn't look for the lava until the end of the turn. This is weird. Taco, did you report this as a bug? Hold on, I'm gonna highlight this, or get a clip, so that way, come on, game. There we go. So, I want to clip this for the devs so that they can see this. I don't see any reason why this pterodactyl should have lived. But this pterodactyl ends up on the lava after killing the stabby, and then survives. And we cannot figure out why. Pterodactyl, alive. Oh, god damn it, the freaking clip isn't working. Alright, I added a stream marker so I can look at it later. Wait, dude, what's the idea, Kune? You got something in mind? I have no idea why this thing lived. Like, literally none. And it died here! It died on the lava afterwards. Could be a visual bug, but it was dead. So the visual bug, like it, so on this turn, it acted, it died, it ended up on the lava. The next turn, bad guy has to attack it, like it is there. You order his damage, pull the damage killed on a panic point, so maybe onto his right, but it doesn't check I mean, that might be the circumstance. It should not work like that. We'd have to set it up. We'd have to set it up. Maybe that isn't intended. Maybe that's an intended interaction. I feel like I've done this before and it died. I feel like this exact scenario has happened before and it died, but I'm not sure. Because it would logically make sense that, from a programming perspective, Pterodactyl dies. When a Phobie dies, it gets removed from the board, but it has Resurrect. So the game says, oh, you have Resurrect. I turn you into a pile of bones. The only thing it's looking for at that point is the pile of bones stepped on? But at some point, it needs to say, at end of turn, resurrect me if I'm not on a lava space. So it must check when it dies, like you're saying. Like, I could see that being the case from a programmatic standpoint. I don't think that should be the case from a gameplay standpoint. So yeah, somebody should report this as a bug, because that definitely doesn't seem like it should work that way. Definitely shouldn't work that way. That is pretty cool, though, Taco, that happened. I'm glad you kept that one. Alright, we got a virus highlight. This one, I think, is an actual highlight. I don't know if this is highlight worthy, but it's pretty cool. No spoilers. Turn 25. Terror of the Phoenix. So we're just going to skip ahead. Terror got the superstar from Mario Brothers. That's why I live. True. Now, he just got 100 points, or 1,000 points, so we got an extra life. Like an actual extra life. Alright, I want to watch it, and then I'll redo for hype moments, because I want to see what the play is. So Virus goes in, gets a block here, or blows up the block. Get a little bees. Ah, the muffin. Oh. Alright, that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. Alright, we got a little virus highlight action going on. We got a break from the Gravedigger. And then the Stabby and Bees here combine to eliminate the Resurrection Phobies. But that's not the cool part. The cool part is that we get a Muffin Assassin. The final death for the Resurrect Phobies at the hand of baked goods. Well played. Or at the foot of well goods, I should say. Went from Bones being invincible to Bones dying to a muffin. You saw this one in the main Discord, Onda? Nice. The muffin double kill. He's not giving life anymore, he's taking it. I give you life, and I will take it away. Apparently muffins... Like, vampires are allergic to garlic. Apparently undead are just generally allergic to baked goods. Alright, chat, we're back. So I think we're going to jump into some game reviews, but before we do, I wanted to get this out here just like I did last night. This will be a shorter version of what I mentioned previously, but if you don't want to hear about politics stuff, then skip ahead a little bit. This is why I put the things in the description, so that way you can get to the different chapters. U.S. elections are coming up. Make sure you vote. And when I say vote, I don't mean just vote for your Congress critters. Vote for your state Congress critters. Vote for your governor. Vote for the local dog catcher. It doesn't matter. All of the votes matter because there are real and existential threats to the United States of America. And unfortunately, the call is coming from inside the House. So, in all seriousness, your vote does matter, and it matters even for those little things like your local sheriff or maybe other legal positions, because those are the people that are going to be impacting other people in your community, whether you like it or not. And the fact of the matter is that at all levels across the United States, there's an enormous amount of corruption and nonsense that goes on because people have been left to run unopposed and just sit in their position and do whatever the hell they want for however long.
More turns to take.
So the point is, make sure you vote. 2, as mentioned last night, make sure if you have the means and you have the ability that you look into charities, because there's a lot of insane, horrible things that are happening across the world. We could be talking about the war in the Ukraine. We could be talking about the flooding in Pakistan. We could be talking about the fact that in the United States of America, there are people who don't have clean drinking water, for Christ's sake. I mean, Jesus in heaven. It's embarrassing, but it goes beyond embarrassing because people's lives are at stake. It's easy to say that it's embarrassing and just be like, oh, that's just so pathetic. The U.S. can't get its shit together again. Well, it's not just that. It's the fact of the matter that people are going to go sick or people are going to go die because they don't have safe drinking water. This is 2022. What the hell is going on? So, if you have the means and you are able, talk to your government officials. In the U.S., you can just go online, Google your local officials, your federal officials. Write to them. Call them. Tell them what you want them to do. That is supposed to be their job, including making sure that we are doing more than just, sending thoughts and prayers to people that lost everything in an enormous flood. If you look at the pictures of the devastation that's happening in all over, pick a part of the world, there's something going on, which is another tirade in and of itself. But there's way more that can be done, and if you can do it personally, great. If you can't, call your Congress critters. That's not going to cost you anything. Well, I guess it'll cost you some time. But I hope that I put this stuff out here and it doesn't fall on deaf ears, that people will actually step up in some degree, even for the base level stuff. And I don't mean that to sound insulting in any way, but voting is part of being a citizen. Shut up, Lippy. Voting is part of being a good citizen. And I hope that as part of being a good person, people are looking for ways to help others when possible. I understand not everybody has the means. Some of the people who may be listening to this may actually be one of the people that need assistance. And that could be somebody who's in poverty. That could be somebody who happens to be LGBTQ, etc. You get the idea. Or it could be somebody who's, insert whatever. There are tons of people that do need help legitimately, and too many times people are making those in need jump through help. All right, Rodizio, what do you got? And then we'll jump into the regular game reviews. This is on turn 20. I won the game, but the opponent dropped the fireworks too soon. Uh-oh. Let's see what the fireworks are. Why, Taco? I'm telling you, every day it's poop with you. Alright, here we go. Let's see what it is. Oh, God. Why are there so many traps? What is happening? Oh, no! Not like this! We'll rewatch this. Why not? So many traps. Oh my God. Ah! All right, hold on. I gotta, because I want to pull this for later. So this was a highlight submitted by Rodizio, and I think anybody out there... Oh, hold on, I want to restart this. It may be a little late if you're already looking at the board state here, but you may need to turn away. Viewer discretion is advised, if you're not a trap fan, that is. So Rodizio submitted this highlight, and this is a hilarious highlight. I don't know what else there is to say. But, look at these traps. We all know what's about to happen. And it's just a matter of waiting. Oh, bad guy. You're in for a bad day. Ah! Oh my god. That is so bonkers. That's hilarious. I love it. I love it. We haven't had one of those. Who used to... Was it people invading Onda? There was somebody... Or was it Hakune? Moffat has to go no matter what it takes. I want to know how you got away with placing that many traps uncontested. It's not uncommon. People just play super defensive in this game, Atona. It's Rodizio's the one who the trap hit? Was it really, Onda? Way back when? Oh, how the turntable. How the turntable. Alright, let's pull up some game reviews, some actual game reviews, like full reviews. I'm sweating to death, chat. It suddenly got a lot hotter. Or feels a lot hotter, and I don't know why. Game submissions. Alright, so we did this one yesterday. Checking the list real quick. Checking it twice. Alright, we'll jump into another virus one because we did the highlight earlier, but not an actual game review. Alright, so we're zoning into a viewer-submitted game review. Virus is our hero here in the blue trunks on Biff's room. If you want to get your own game reviewed, come by the live stream RTChompGG, or you could just hit up the Discord in the description of this video. All the instructions will be in the Discord. Likes and subscribes, you know the deal. But in the meantime, we're zoning in. We'll see what's going on. What makes this the closest game? Are we competing for another low health total? I think the record is 50 right now. Last night I'm using Tickles and he's just eating all the Baba Haha traps. Nice. Nice. So we get... Not quite my opener. I prefer the turrets, but I like the early Jin Sting here, obviously. This map really revolves around turrets, Jin Sting, and 1-drops, which I think you can say about most small maps. The main thing is, you know, like Crypto, you get the line zappers in Beauty and Blastomatic. There are a couple other tweaks on other maps, but for the most part, it kind of revolves around basically the same phobies, and then whatever your large one of choice is, if you end up banking. Occasionally, you'll see some middle ground ones, such as Hevos, as Kleptos, those sort of thing, but it's not as common, because a lot of the fights are this, just scrappy between smaller units. So we get a Baby Snakey follow-up. Max Phobies here for our bad guy. We still have one slot available for our blue player, though. 2-to-1 panic point advantage for our hero. The question is... Okay, so there's a bunch of damage that could go down on this stabby if orange player decides to go in. But that could result in the death of not all, but a lot of their forces. So this is interesting. It does free up the slot for them. Like, let's talk about this for a second. Obviously, you have these 1-drops. I think our hero was expecting that you were going to have an invade to kill the... Excuse me, kill the cat. Hence, the follow-up 1-drop. Instead, orange player elects not to. This means that they can get first act on the larger phobie, like positioning-wise. And this is a thing that does come up on small maps, where you get control of the board, bank into something big, and then you try and lock your opponent into their 5 phobies, so that way your big thing can come out, immediately have devastating effect, and then you roll forward from there. I just want new phobies. Being free to play is boring at the same time. It does. I would look for the sales. I mean... Content affiliate, you know, that hence the hashtag sponsored and the disclaimer I got to put in every video and stuff. But some of the sales are worth it if you're able to. Hopefully they'll do more days where you get bonus XP or bonus whatever, because I think Phobies is pretty punishing, truthfully. You know. That's why I'm not really expecting to get new Phobies. When your hope didn't come true, it just sucks and makes you lose the mood, make you feel lazy. It does. That's why I don't like opening packs. It's just like, it's always a perpetual disappointment. The only reason it hasn't been for me is because of the coffee that the dev team gives me. Because I open so many packs that, like, no matter what, I'm going to get something worthwhile. Either get something new or just get enough resources. My biggest complaint always has and always will be the economy for Phobies. That's the bottom line. I think Phobies is a great game. It just sucks the way it is. Was that what you had suggested, Taco, about the XP? I'll take a look at that after this game. So we do get well, not trade, but the elimination here, and we get Noxious as the follow-up. So Noxious has been a thorn in my side, as I've mentioned on many occasions. And the question is, how is Virus going to answer this? 8 keys banked, though. 8 keys banked. That's a lot. So we're getting an invade on the Noxious. I don't know that this can die. Is this just dead? If it's not, this is a huge mistake. 69. Nice. Okay, so that is a dead Noxious, which... That's a huge... Either way, it was going to be a huge mistake. Either our hero going in and not killing it, or bad guy just offering it up. Now, on the counter hit, they can't get Stabby. They can get probably these two, but they're not likely to get the Jin Sting. No, it's actually possible for them to get Jin Sting and Cat. It's unlikely, but not impossible. But the answer, the follow-up is Hevo, which is in position to threaten other stuff that comes down. If this turn isn't spectacular from our orange player, I have a hard... Oh my god, this game is 49 turns. I didn't notice that. Alright, strap in, chat. It's marathon time. Alright, so Cat's down. Cat is down. Stabby's taking a bunch of damage. Stabby does die, so they elect to go after the Stabby instead of the Jin Sting. Which is interesting, because they could have gotten the Jin Sting, and I feel like the Jin Sting's more important. My default is to go for whatever costs more keys, generally. Alright, good. I was going to say, are you going to hit this, but you should definitely kill the jar. Okay, jar... I was getting real worried here that things were not going to die, but... Yeah, having less Phobies is unfortunate. I agree with you, chat. But there are benefits, because that means you can get the Phobies you have to higher levels, if you can get the XP. But if you're 100% free to play, as we were talking about earlier, you're going to be limited on both fronts, right? So it does kind of suck. So in the meantime, after all the carnage, we have a damaged Stabby and a very healthy team against a fairly healthy team on this side. I think the trades here were worth it. You effectively traded Cat and Stabby for their Cat, Stabby, Murder Wing, or Noxious. Yeah, Cat, Stabby, Murder Wing. I mean, these also died, but Cat, Stabby, Murder Wing for Noxious, Baby Snaky, and Jar. It's 5, 8, 11, 12, 3, 6, 9. So you're up by 3 keys. You're going to stay at that stress level forever, DT? Just for the memes? This is rough. This is rough, this turn. Why did the Jin Sting end up here? Jin Sting just didn't move.
Exquisite.
I don't think you're threatening enough as our blue player, who's now out of keys. Both players are out of keys. And this goes on to 49 turns? How? Like, this Jin Sting did not need to die. This invade should have been telegraphed, I think. So we're not going to get a recap here from the Bachelor. Because it just dies. I was going to say because it gets pulled, but it just dies. So it's Hevo and Jar versus this team. And honestly, that's not bad. They don't have a ton of damage. You have a panic point advantage for a while. But given the... We're not even halfway through. Given the length of time left in the game, I have to imagine that Hevo dies in the near future. How does this game go on so much longer? Does the Hevo die this turn? How does this game go on longer? Like, what happens? I know we're gonna find out, but, like, this is weird. You know why? No, that... So basically, this is going to be Jar kiting Bachelor for 20 plus turns. That's what this amounts to, because the Jar can't... Wait. $532. Yeah, I can't kill it. It's 532, I think. To 545. So you have to just kite the Bachelor. And then there were two. So we're going to watch 20 turns of this. I'm just going to let it play in the background chat. This is actually kind of insane. I feel like there were a couple positioning errors that happened that didn't have to happen. That could have led to a win more cleanly. Oh my god, is this seriously what happens? Are you kidding me right now? If Bachelor can hit Jar once and Jar kills Bachelor, they will have a draw. True. So this was an error by the orange player. They should have just ran them in circles. Because this opened up the rest of the map for Jar to run around. But this is insane. I can't believe what I'm watching right now. Because this is the problem. Is that as soon as you give them the opportunity to run down here, now this happens. And now all of a sudden the pressure's back on you as the orange player. 15 turns left, chat, by the way. Honestly, you don't even have to move here. You might just be able to shell the heart and outrace the, Yeah, you can outrace the panic points. So orange is going for the heart. I think this is correct, going for the panic point. Problem is now we're back to the chasing game. This is ridiculous. I always would like to believe that I can commentate anything, just about. This is pushing the limits of, like, what do I even say about this? We're watching a Tom and Jerry cartoon right now. We're watching a live reenactment of Yakety Sax. Someone's got to... That's what I should do. I should clip this and put the Yakety Sax music over it. What do you think, chat? YouTube, if you're watching this, let me know down in the comments. Seriously, like, picture this as Tom and Jerry, where they're just running around, like, a pillar or like, the fireplace or something, or around the outside of the house, and then all of a sudden, one of them stops and, like, jumps on top and watches the other one keep running. That's what this feels like. I watched Sandman, Taco, or at least the beginning of Sandman. I can't imagine what was going through the players' heads while this was happening. This had to either be one of the most stressful games they played, or like, just full stop, one of the dumbest things they've ever been a part of. $260. Wow. GG. Well played? Honestly, I think it came down to that second or third turn when orange player let the jar escape instead of just body blocking it. It would have been super boring. But if I were in Virus's shoes and someone demonstrated 2 or 3 times that, yes, I'm going to make the right play, I would have just scooped and saved us some time, because there was no other way to try and get out without getting hit. But GG. That is, in fact, a game. That's a thing that can happen. It's very silly, but it is amusing. Actually, no, that was... I screwed up the date on the spreadsheet here. There we go. Chad, I feel like I need to eat something. I'm hungry. Next break, I'm gonna have to go get something because I'm feeling a little faint. Feeling a little faint. Partially, it's the heat again and the humidity, which is now rising. It wasn't bad all day, honestly, and then all the humidity settling at night, I guess. I don't know. All right, what do we got here? Wrong tab. Ah, so this is a game against Cha. I wanted as many traps as possible. Traps counter Doom Doom? Question mark? All right, we're going to have to see this from our hero, JF here. JF, lots of letters. Several letters. A few letters. It's not really a lot. It's, what, 4 extra letters? But anyway, up against Cha, so shout out to Cha if you haven't seen her stuff. Ran a bunch of contests. I don't think there's one running now, but obviously another content creator. Zoning in here on crypto. You ever wonder how many people get names that are just strings of letters? I imagine it's a lot. I don't really wonder, but I imagine there's a good number, because there's a lot of people who just don't care, kind of, and they'll just create a name, sort of thing. So we have what are somewhat standard phobies. You could stretch it a little bit with the stabby, but somewhat standard phobies for this map, but not necessarily in this order. This feels very... I'm going to say clunky, but that's not really the word I'm looking for. It feels a little weird. Not how many, but how. Like, how do you decide that that should just be your name? I mean, some of them are randomly generated depending on the service. Some of them are people just don't care, and it's like, I'm just signing up. I think it's just literally people are like, I'm not bothering. I don't want to waste the 10 seconds to come up with a name. In all seriousness. Although, JF, if you're watching this, let me know down in the comments or in Discord. Which, by the way, if you want to join the Random Salts Discord, check the description. That's where you submit games for review. So you got to get it in there. Let us know what the meaning behind your name is. I am curious, because I'm always curious about people's names. It could also be like a big acronym, too. Ooh, we get a fire ant. So the traps are coming out to play. We got 2 traps for our hero, 2 traps for our bad guy. And we get the obvious Venus laydown on the center, which I have to imagine one of these 2 is going to overwrite that trap. But keep in mind, ooh, there is a Doom Doom. I love the Doom Doom waddle. The Doom Doom waddle is spectacular. Does it make a noise when it comes out? You see Doom Doom so infrequently. I want to give it its due. Oh my god, this is another 40-turn game. 40 plus. Oh yeah, it sounds like kind of like an owl. Kind of looks like an owl. Like owl-ish. Owl-esque. Woohoo is right. So we know, well, the bad guy knows that there's no trap in the center, because obviously you got the double hit from this, and the unicorn can't drop it there. I have to imagine that our hero here also knows that there's a trap in the center, so they're prepping for it. Doom Doom illuminates the situation. You know, that sounds completely believable, Atona. And I'm not being sarcastic. I could see it if, like, it only, like, kind of poked out a little bit. Like, because a lot of animals will... We're talking about how people would come up with a name like this, and Atona's suggesting the idea that someone had created a name similar by holding their cat over their keyboard. And a lot of animals will splay their paws when you pick them up. So I could see it happening where if, like, the cat was flailing and it had splayed paws, that it maybe was only hitting, like, brushing it just enough for something. Like, it would have struck multiple keys, but only one enough for it to register, sort of thing. I feel like it's not as unreasonable as you might think. Now, that particular letter set, it feels a little weird, but, I mean, then again, most of them are, like, it's like 5 letters clustered. I had to look at my keyboard. Maybe I should put my dog on your keyboard? I mean, that's a thing you can do. I guess it depends on how small your dog is. You don't want to hurt you or the dog trying to pick it up. So obviously wait. Why not eat the trap here? Just to not get hit with the jar, I guess? I guess the idea here is not to get hit with the jar. But JF wasn't kidding with this. We get the break here. What's going to happen here? Is that worth it? Doom Doom is ranged, isn't it? I mean, it's only doing 327 damage. You do get a body block here from the cat, but you're obviously going to get splashed here with the Noxious. So what does Cha do? Because there's a few different plays you can make here. 3 keys for Cha, 3 keys for our hero. Okay, so... Wow, the attack animation is cool. So what could have happened here instead is you just Noxious from this position onto the cat in order to hit the Fire Ant. You don't get the Gravedigger, but you do get the Ant, which is arguably the most important part. But then again, if you don't do this, then it just runs to the healing spa. But then you get double hits from Doom Doom, which puts it out of commission longer, because you can still hit the cat with the stabby. I guess this is fine and doesn't really make too much of a difference. The FR-57 sounds like a lesser-known plane. That's actually true. I kind of agree with that. So a bunch of hits go down on Nox. Oh, baby. We got an invade here, and that's a dead... That's 2 Noxious that died that just didn't need to. Honestly, I didn't count it up, clearly, for what the damage would have been, but trading the Gravedigger for Noxious seems pretty decent. 4 keys remaining because we get Baba Yaga as a follow-up. Like, real talk. This takes some stones. Your opponent already had... It's not, well, they likely don't have Doom Doom. Or they likely don't have a Doom Doom that's at a worthwhile level. They already have a Doom Doom on the board, and you elected to go with more trap Phobies. That's a bold move, Cotton. So we're getting some trap elimination because of other purposes, other factors. And then Gonzo Bonzo is the final Phobie for our hero here. This is actually looking really bad for our blue player. They finally now claim back the panic point. So how the turntable, our hero here has to find a way in order to try and reclaim these panic points, or possibly just kill this stabby. Reclaim the panic points the old-fashioned way, sort of. I don't know if that really works. I don't even know if they have enough damage to do this here. They clearly don't now. They're backing off, which is interesting. Like, you definitely could have killed the stabby. You would have lost something. So I think Doom Doom... Whoa. Alright, this obviously didn't stay there. I feel like Doom Doom should eat this trap now. So here's the funny thing about these trap battles. The traps that are a single space will actually activate when either, you know, the statue hits it or another trap goes down, whatever. But because this is an AoE trap, this causes it to actually trigger and ignite all these tiles, which is going to make everybody's life way more complicated. No, they don't disappear over time, Taco. What happened is that earlier trap that disappeared, somebody put another trap on it. But we don't see JF's traps going down when that happens. Because, like, we didn't see the fire ant trap go on this one, for example. About halfway through, chat. A little over, actually. We've been past halfway for a little while. But these games have been long, so I kind of lost track for a moment. The panic point advantage has been in favor of the enemy for a little bit. But at this stage, they don't really have anything... Well, I guess they have a few things now in position. I was going to say they don't have anything in position to cover the center point. But since the Gravedigger has made it so long, that means that they're able to block this off once again. They'll be able to clear it out. Our hero will fairly quickly. You got the jar on the stem. You got two things in position aside from that. But you still have to cap a point. What? Ooh, this is pretty cool. Snipe the jar. Snipe the jar. I missed it because I wasn't looking at the jar there. But the Gonzo plus jar means snipe jar. Picking apart their forces. 40-45 to 59-25. There's still some time. Toy Story Monkey is true. So the Baba Yaga trap up here, I assume it was Baba Yaga's trap, eliminates this. So now we get the reveal on where the other traps are. The Fire Ant Invade is... Yeah, that's fine. 2,400 health. That thing is not going down. It's hypothetically risky if there's a Venus trap here. But there isn't, so it ends up being fine. Does Doom Doom's alert go over obstacles like it wraps around? I guess it does, but that's interesting. So how are you reclaiming the middle, though? If you don't invade, like... I'm assuming what's going to happen here is we're going to get a juice from Gonzo onto the jar in order to try and take out the Stabby in conjunction with everything else. Because I don't know how else JF gets in there, and you got to do something soon. It's just been too many turns. I'm not sure why Cha is backing off so far, I guess just to avoid the jar. Our blue player kind of needs our orange player to make a mistake here. That's basically what it's going to boil down to. Yep, so Gonzo comes back, juices the jar. This is awkward because this is not going to kill it. The Fire Ant's not going to die, though, because only Doom Doom can get into range. It has 2,300 health. And we know that this trap, because it was revealed by Doom Doom, belongs to JF. Obviously, it would have been colored differently because it would have come from Venus. I don't know what that block does, honestly. But now that Cha has vacated their own stem, this is bad news bears for our blue player. We're getting close to the end of the game, but you can kind of see just from the gameplay the beginning and the end here. It was a very patient game from JF to make this happen. Alright, so that Baba Yaga's gotta be dead. But it may have been an intentional sacrifice here, just to clear out things from the board, because at this point, you control pretty much every part of the board. Even with this attack, or set of attacks, killing the Baba Yaga, like, it's going to yoink the Stabby, which means the Stabby's dead. It's now 4 Phobies to 2. You have Panic Point advantage and Trap Layers. Just not going to work out well for the bad guy here. GG. So, I have been a proponent of Doom Doom in general, because I haven't seen it that much. I don't own it, so I haven't tried it. But I felt like Doom Doom serves a purpose. I don't like the way Doom Doom works, because it feels somewhat binary.
This battle's turning something unholy.
Okay, Lippy, whatever. So my issue with Doom Doom is it feels very binary. It feels like either it should take over a game in this sort of scenario, or it's garbage. But here's the thing. This is a small map against a ton of trap phobies, and I don't think Doom Doom ate a single trap. Like, maybe Doom Doom is just, like, truly trash. I'm not sure. What do you think, chat? Or YouTube, for that matter. Let me know down in the comments. Because Doom Doom, if there was a game where Doom Doom should have just taken over the game, right? It should have been this one. It ate one trap? Okay, I might have missed it. +1,000 damage out of that Fire Ant thanks to basically 2 stims. GG, well played. I still haven't actually summoned Doom Doom in a single game. It's weird because, like I said, I've been defending Doom Doom mostly because I refuse to believe that there are any truly useless phobies. It's just they have supremely niche use cases. Obviously, well, Doom Doom's is obvious. He ate 2 traps this game. Did he really? It just felt like... So, that's even worse for Doom Doom if it ate 2 traps. Because then it did... Like, that was not worth it. I think in this game, it's because Doom Doom kept getting harassed by Jarkan and didn't have the support phobia to protect him from Jar. But that may be true, but Jar is going to show up in virtually every game. If you can't use Doom Doom in its arguably ideal scenario, a small map with a ton of trap phobies on the other side, does Doom Doom have a purpose? Now, you could make the argument, this is a card game thing that people had a hard time grokking in early on in Magic lifespan. So we've talked before about Wrath of God, right? And the critical turn. One of the other aspects was forcing your opponent to have dead cards or overloading their removal. In context, this would be specifically aimed at, say, Disenchant. Disenchant is a flexible removal card that doesn't kill creatures but artifacts or enchantments. And those card types, usually if you were running a deck with those, you only ran the ones you needed. So if somebody ran Disenchant, they're like, oh, well, I'm only going to need 3 or 4 of these in my deck because I'll probably only need to kill 1 or 2 things a game. So you run 4 to make sure you draw it. And then, or you put them in the sideboard and then bring them in. The idea being is that they'll only have a couple threats of this type that I need to get rid of. So then the next logical step when you build decks, and believe me, this comes back to Phobies. The next logical step is you either cut all of those cards from your deck so that your opponent's removal is dead. Every time they draw that card, it's like they didn't draw a card because they have no targets to play it against. Okay, that's option number 1. Option number 2 is you go the other route and you overload it. So there are so many targets that they can't possibly deal with them all. If it's disenchant effects, all right, I'm going to run a deck with like 30 enchantments. You can't disenchant the ball. It's just not possible. And if you are, because you're running so much of that kind of removal, you're just not beating anything else. It's like, all right, well, I guess I accept my loss to your terrible deck. How does this relate to Phobies? You could argue in the previous game that the overload of traps is the answer as the trap player to Doom Doom. You can either blank Doom Doom by not running traps, but in a game of Phobies, you could just choose not to put Doom Doom on the board. Or you could do as our hero did, JF, in the previous game, and get a ton of trap Phobies, and then you can't possibly Doom Doom them all. It's just not possible. Now, the way Phobies works is obviously between the Doom Doom and the Venus, there could have been a lot more effort aimed at clearing up traps, but we did see a lot of traps pop over the course of the game, either to Doom Doom, as Chad is pointing out, I must have missed that it ate some, or just traps getting laid on traps, or the statues. Like, there were a variety of reasons why traps activated, and very few of them were from Phobies standing on them. So point is maybe this is fine. I don't really like the idea of Doom Doom, where it's this... There are Phobies that are niche, like Rusty. And I think it was Player himself that has been championing Rusty on certain maps, namely Xylo, trying to set up certain yoinks and other plays. But there are use cases for Rusty. They're just super narrow. But while you could also describe them as niche, I don't think they are as binary backbreaking on paper as we see with Doom Doom. Doom Doom feels like it should just crap all over traps. That didn't happen last game, and obviously we're not going to see that in every game where these sort of things happen. It's not going to be every time, oh, well, it just 100% works out this way because I simply picked this phobie. Levels play in, player skill plays in, and that's not a knock against the bad guy last game, I'm just saying in general. But I think Doom Doom feels closer to Circles of Protection in Magic than it does, like, even though it's a strategic hoser because it's specifically against traps, I don't know. I don't like the way Doom Doom works. But it is what it is. I wonder if it lost Trap Absorber and then got a stat boost, or maybe it just become... Because the danger is that if you buff the stats on Doom Doom, then it just becomes a better Cyclops, right? It's dimensional. If it had comparable stats, it's like, why would you ever play Cyclops? You just play Doom Doom. Obviously, you wouldn't make the stats identical, but it needs something to give it help. It obviously is not good enough as simply a trap answer. Anti-trap phobia. I don't know. Alright, chat, we're back. So, chat, has anybody watched the new Lord of the Rings show yet? I know my wife is going to make me watch it. I want to finish Sandman before I watch it. I've never really been a big fan of Lord of the Rings. I think it's because I was forced to read different books from it, like specifically The Hobbit, but other Lord of the Rings books. And because I was forced to read them, I never really got into them. Also, I think J.R.R. Tolkien's writing style is just not for me. I can appreciate what the Lord of the Rings did for the fantasy genre. I think I've talked about it on stream before. I don't know if anybody's played the game I think it's Shadows of Mordor or Shadows over Mordor or something like that. Basically, you were like this revenant sort of thing, and it had this cool archenemy nemesis system where if you didn't like execute an enemy or kill them in a certain way, or even if you did, I forget exactly how it worked, but basically the enemy could become a recurring enemy, and every time you met them from there on out for the rest of the game, and it could be multiple times, they would grow in power, and they would have scars or certain injuries, or, you know, their armor would look different because of your previous battles, and they would try and actively hunt you down throughout the game. But there was a funny part where, like, because it sort of played like Assassin's Creed, so you could stealth kill enemies. And if you sneak up on some of the orcs, they reference the Battle of the Five Armies, but they or you pick up, there's like a diary entry or something effectively, which sounds kind of weird, from an orc, talking about the Battle of the Five Armies and how it was really should have been called the Battle of Everybody Against the Orcs. And that's kind of stuck with me, and my wife thought it was hilarious, and I still obviously think it's kind of amusing. It was one of the cooler things in that game. But yeah, I don't know, I never really got into Lord of the Rings that much, which I guess makes me a bad nerd. I don't know. It's never really been my fantasy thing of choice. In general, it felt like it was too low on the magic end for me. Like, I want more magic. I want more monsters that are just more commonly around, more monstrous species or races that are also not necessarily the bad guys. I think that was always the thing that bothered me the most, but random aside. I am curious about the show. I know, like I said, my wife is going to make me watch it, so we'll get to that when we get to it. For now, it's just Sandman, and I am looking forward. We're only up to episode 3 of Sandman, so I won't go through spoilers so far. I only vaguely remember parts of the comics and parts of... I mean, she's listening to the audiobook, and I don't think she's even gone through it all. I will after we get through the show, I think, and then get the rest of the story. I know there are some things that are modified, like John Constantine becomes Johanna Constantine, and some of the settings have changed. But I am curious about the general story. I just know it's like enormously long, so I want to go through it at some point. We'll see. But anyway, let's jump into an arena game, chat. Let's jump into arena game. Let me fix the spreadsheet first before I forget again. We still have a couple more that we got to do tonight. At least 2 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want to do at least... Well, if we do 1 more tonight, that's probably fine. But maybe 2 more. We'll see. We'll play it by ear. Just double checking something on there. Alright, so let's queue up for arena. I'm looking forward to Season 4 of The Mandalorian. I think I mentioned it before. I stopped watching Mando after, like, 3 or 4 episodes. And then I saw the end of 2. Like, when the big reveal happens, the end of Season 2. So I'm curious what's going to happen. I like the character. They did a great job making me care about a non-Jedi character, right? But the problem is I just don't... I don't know, it just didn't click with me. Like, I didn't care that much about Firefly as a show. My wife really liked it. So it's in the same sort of structure. Alright. So we're on Vile Vortis. Let's see, we're going second. I'm very mad now because I remembered my losing streak in async. I legitimately cannot begin to care about async. Like, I just straight up don't. I try and play my games as quickly as possible. I don't consider any of the potential moves. I just put stuff on the board and click as fast as I humanly can. Which is the exact opposite of what you're supposed to be doing in async, right? I was just double checking there's no way they can reach me. We lose games while talking about protein sources. That could be the intro quote. I've tried a few bugs, but I'm no expert on eating bugs. They're mostly bland and have odd texture. I wonder if that's what bothers people about eating them, is the idea of what the texture is going to be. Like, if you think about a tarantula, they have a lot of hairs on them, right? How many foods do you eat that would qualify as hairy? And it's not like you can prepare them like you would for what are more common foods, right? I like openings on Vile Vortis. They're pretty varied and easy to understand. I would agree with the easy to understand, but I feel like they're not really varied. Is Peach Fuzz hairy? I don't know. I don't eat peaches. I mean, based on what chat was talking about before, it's more like If you're deep frying it, okay, well, I don't think you really have to worry about it, but it's still, I don't know. You hate peaches. That's a hell of a thing. Why? You hate apples? Chat, what do you hate most about fruit? Use Moly Bully on my alt account as an opener here. Take the middle panic point. You can't reach it. I mean, you can get there, but, like, you can't reach it normally. Eating a peach for me is like scratching a board, like a green board. I legitimately don't understand what that means. What are you trying to communicate here? I imagine our opponent disconnected, but we'll play as though they did not. I hate peaches, but I like peach-flavored stuff. Well, does an eggplant count as... Is an eggplant... Eggplant's a vegetable, right? I can't believe I have to ask this, but I'm like... My brain is not working tonight. Hence why those other games happen. It's a nightmare for me, and I don't know why, because the flavor is delicious, really. Oh, like nails on a chalkboard? Okay, I know what you're talking about, player. For me, I mean, that noise is annoying, but, like, metal scraping on metal... You know, when I was a kid, like, certain sounds from cars or lawnmowers or things like that... Not good. The day is not winning and haping? What? I don't know what you mean, Kraos. I assume... I mean, that's a typo, but I can't quite translate what you mean. Oh, the very bottom panic point. Oh, I got you. Okay, that makes more sense. When you were saying center, I thought you were talking dead center onto. That's why I was confused. I should have realized that. You just hate vitamins. You hate kiwis. Raspberry... Taco, name a fruit you like. I mean, I know you haven't named all the fruit, different kinds of fruit. Like, how do you feel about pears? What about watermelon or cantaloupes? I like kiwi, but kiwi by itself is weird. It's like the perfect other flavor in a smoothie, though. I'm not a big fan of smoothies. I hate kiwi because I ate it once and made my stomach feel like it was going to explode. I could see that. Like, if you have a bad reaction to a food, I brought it up before, this is commonly with booze. You know, the first time you get sick drinking, usually people then avoid whatever that liquor is because then it's... There we go. They disconnected. Because then it's like... You're in the back of your brain, you can't disassociate the two, or it takes a long time. I like the stuff that tastes good. I don't know why you don't like apples, then. Apples taste good. I hate watermelons because my whole body feels sticky after eating a slice. Sounds like you need to be better at eating. I love a watermelon. Not stuff that tastes like shit and is good for you. You know, there was something that somebody who was a vegetarian was talking about it, so I guess opinions are, you know, you have to take it with a grain of salt, I guess, which is kind of where this is going. But it really comes down to the seasoning and the flavoring. Just because something is healthy or, you know, people think it tastes a particular way doesn't mean that it has to. Idea here is hopefully dodge the jar. Because they could walk up, hit it with the cassowary, and then jar and possibly kill this thing. Got roasted. Eat better. I mean, I hear what you're saying. There's some foods that are messy. I've talked about it before because I have a beard. Like, I don't like eating super messy foods. I don't usually have a problem with watermelon, though. You could just cut the slices smaller, too, and then it makes it easier. I like all fruit, but I hate cherries. You hate cherries, really? I don't like pitted cherries. I mean, they're fine, but, like... I don't know. How does chat feel about olives? Usually that has been a contested food with a lot of people. I don't know why they didn't send the cat in. So they didn't bank, so I'm just going to take this point with the murder wing, and then we'll slide the murder wing back in eventually. We've got the turret set up. We got to get something to help supplement. We might experiment with Thunder Rocks here. We'll see. Wait, what? I accidentally got mustard on a Dorito once, and it tasted surprisingly good. I don't believe you. I legitimately don't believe you. That sounds heinous. Olives on pizza? I don't mind olives on pizza. I like olives. Olives are delicious. What? I don't have good memories of olives when I was a kid because I ate them on a pizza once and I was like, what? Taco, why do you have all these traumatizing stories about your food? I think we muffin here. If this is enough health, we'll muffin, because I don't want to, like... They can invade. This needs to come back. It's 5, 10. Yeah, this is enough to keep it alive. +1 to olives on pizza. Olives are great, just not by themselves. I could eat olives by themselves. Like, that wouldn't bother me, truthfully. This is 1600. We can't kill it in one volley yet. We are going to kill off their jar and snipe it, I think. We can threaten a Clinico next turn if we really want to. Well, not threaten a Clinico, but we could play one to heal this up. Horrible memories of raisins. Is shrimp a fruit? What? Chat, you're all losing your minds. What is happening? Oh, this is really bad. Their own Clinico? Oh my god. Chat, we're throwing again. Well, I'm throwing again. Did you know a sea urchin can be eaten? Yes, I did know that. I don't know that I would eat it, but I did know it was possible. Raisins are okay, nothing special, but I'll eat them. This will get it with the lava. We don't really have a good way to deal with this Bow Mangles now. I feel like we bank a little bit, but I'm not sure for what. We could go AWOL, but the AWOL is going to just get sniped by this. You hate raisins because as a kid you would watch shows where people hated raisins? That's kind of funny. First time I had a plantain, my child mind thought it was a really shitty banana. I'm not a fan of craisins, to be honest. I can see that. So we go here. I think that's safe. This is... I don't like this. I don't like doing this. I don't think this is a good idea, but we're doing it. Sucky. Honestly, I do want to try Sucky more, but I need to level it up. Fried Sucky, probably nutritious, but not delicious. Oh, you're talking about whether you could eat it? Sucky looks good here. Does it, though? I mean, mine's like level 4, I think. Yeah, it's level 4. Like, it does not look good here. Snowball has some potential here. How much damage does a level 8 or higher Sucky have? I don't know. I might have enough levels we could possibly find out. There was somebody that was leveling up Sucky as a meme, I think. Alright, so they banked to 6. We're clearly going to bank again. Their heal is back up, too. This is stupid. I don't really want to take damage on this if we're going to bank. Is the problem. So we're just going to wait for now. Full Phobies meal. Paschetti, murder wing, meatball, spud, and jar juice. Interesting. Cassowary is a chicken feed. Is probably no flavor to it. I imagine it will end up being foul. And then you'll get some funky chicken. Or you'll have some funky chicken. This is a horrendous idea, right? We can't kill this. Now, if we killed that, maybe, but we don't, so no. I don't know what we need here. We could go something big, but the problem is that then it's isolated. There's like... It's going to have to do it entirely on its own. I kind of feel like it's Quagmire or Innocuous. Ginseng could work too. Probably should have repositioned the Hevo, but they had this here. I want the Hevo to be able to, like, get a shot on something because they have to advance into it. Part of me says go Moffat and try and yoink something, but we don't quite have enough damage that whatever they follow up with might be too threatening. We could do something like Wooly Bully and power down, but I'm not sure about that. Innocuous is too fragile, I think. If they ever inch something up, we could snipe it, but they're not playing along. Alright, so their own Inoculus is on board. That's not good. That's, in fact, very bad. And I don't think we have enough damage to kill this turn, because it would be 1, say, 8, 11, 17, probably. So speaking of spider... Nope, maybe not. I have no idea what to do about Inoculus, especially on this map. I mean, I don't feel like Inoculus is great here. Now it is, because they gave me some breathing room. But right now, like, they could dive in and, I don't know, maybe it's a worthwhile trade. Murderwing maybe should have been here and then bait their Murderwing. I don't know. If we move the Inoculus up, it runs the risk of dying to these two. Yeah, so all we did was get our Hevo damage from this because this was still live. Well, we'll kill this. We'll be able to kill this, so that is removing something. And we have Muffin to try and heal. No, we don't have Muffin anymore, right? Yeah, we used Muffin this game. Ugh, I forgot. I forgot. Yeah, this is an L, chat. At least I think it is. Yeah, Stabby ate the Muffin early. I totally forgot. Awkward. That's bold, Taco. You think you'd have a higher or lower win rate if instead of playing you just made the plays chat says to do, or you collectively less brainy than the streamer? I would say yes, chat is collectively less brainy because generally chat contradicts each other. Like, that's a very common thing, that chat is just all over the place with what they want me to do or not do. Game. It's a crime that they've gone for a non-electric phobia here. I guess? They are maxed out here. We do have to body block for this as well. Or find a way to prevent it from taking damage. This is a really bad play, chat. This is a really bad play, because we're going to lose Hevo in this exchange. I had a different line to do basically this, but ran out of time. Oh, there's the electric phobia. Yeah, they can't move it up because it'll die. Just gonna randomly put it here that I'm now determined to make Oopsie Baby meta. I mean, it was until... Well, maybe it wasn't meta because not that many people had it, but we did see Oopsie Baby around for a while, but it fell off because, I think, full disclosure, and, like, Innocuous Attractor and Repeller just are doing the same thing mostly, but better, I guess? This is a W. Despite my best efforts, Rockswan, like, this is one of those games that, like, or one of the nights where I'm doing things, I'm making more of an effort to have fun with chat, and it's absolutely costing me games. But we're in a good mood. We're in a good mood, so GG. GG, opponent. Sorry. Sorry. So you can win going second, but I get the sense that I out-leveled that person because, like, their cassowary was only doing 489 damage, stuff like that. Was I BMing? How? Well, when full disclosure dropped, I assumed he was badly outclassed by the aliens, but the HP is really significant. How much does Oopsie Baby cost? I can't see it because it's a stress unlock. That's not where I meant to go. I want to go here. I need 3 more stress levels, which... This could be like 500,000 XP. Just to get to the Oopsie Baby. Point is, I may not see it until, like, the next stress level until, the season ends. Could have killed Electric Cat right away with the Inoculus? No, I couldn't have because it had the block in the way. I don't think... Let me look at the map. Because Inoculus was here, this was here. 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, it could have gone, it could have bent this way. I was thinking pushing it forward and then it would have been blocked by the obstacle. But yeah. Have fun getting canceled? Sure. Sure. Alright, chat. Let's do another game review. Let's do another game review. And just check something real quick. Okay, that's fine. Alright, let's take a look at a Fratute game review. Alright, so this was a battle against someone that I played a tournament with, and I want you to see... I want you to see what I did wrong. Sorry, I looked at it and it didn't read that properly. So we're taking a look. Shout out to Fratute, putting themselves out there with the L. But we're going to take a look at this game and see what did not go in our hero's favor. Our hero, of course, Fratute, zoning in the blue trunks here on Vile Vortex number 11. Bad guy is in the orange trunks. Who won the last game? I did. I did. Despite my best efforts, Onda. I tried really hard. So, opener here. Does anybody else feel like Murderwing has gotten paler? I know this is weird, but I feel like Murderwing has gotten paler. I feel like its wings were more leather colored, or leathery, than like, it's basically white, which I get the skull could be bone white, but I don't know, am I imagining things? I noticed it in a couple games, and now it's like... I think it has to do with... Some of the maps have shadows, and it does make... Depending on where the Phobies position, it looks different. But, anyway, that's neither here nor there for the game. What I was pausing it for is... I don't know if Fratute has access to Snowball. But, like... I understand what Onda had brought up with Moly Bully taking the center. That's reasonable. You could end up taking a beating on the Moly Bully, but it should tank anything unless you're way under-leveled, or they're way over-leveled, is really it. But I don't like sending Murderwing down here. You want the Snowball to try and cap the stuff. I'm assuming Fratute didn't do that because they don't have Snowball. So, issue number 1, stress levels. What are you going to do? So the reason I don't like the Murderwing going down here is because if you send it down here, it's super fragile. If you're going to do that on 1... If you do that on turn 1, obviously your opponent could just pop out whatever and kill it. But they banked a 7. It's arguably more dangerous now. 1, 2, 3. Snowball can't reach it, but they could hit it with Spud. They could hit it with Jar. A Droney or a Morty, stuff like that. There's a bunch of things that could lead to the demise of this Murderwing. I always imagine that Murderwing has tiny arms to flap the thing as his wings. What? I mean, he does have tiny little legs, but... That's a weird thing to have playing in your head, Taco. So in the meantime, we get a Gin Sting and a Fire Ant follow-up. The Fire Ant is super dangerous here. Fire Ant is super dangerous for obvious reasons. The Murderwing does go unpunished. That positioning... Okay. I was going to say, that positioning could be suspect, but realistically, what's going to hit it besides, like, a Droney? So the answer is Rambolina. I'm not sure about Rambolina here. That seems weird. Now, I don't know Fratute's collection off the top of my head, so it could just be something specific here. Like, this is what they have, this is the best option. Is Fire Ant just spicy or what? I don't know. I would go with it's literally on fire. It begs the question, are we going to see a Fire Queen in a future release? But anyway, fetches the response from Bad Guy, and then jumping in to make it a 4-to-1 panic point advantage, but this is going to get easily recapped by our hero. This seems fine. Now, I imagine there's a trap somewhere around here. Where was this Fire Ant? So Fire Ant ran here when it was summoned. There might be a trap here. There might be a trap on this center space. There was not. Okay, so they didn't lay a trap, which is interesting. 4-1 panic point advantage hero. Fire Ant is just laying down some heat and then retreating, and then Quagmire. Quagmire's pretty solid here. Yeah, I'm with you on this one, Krayos. Fire Ant is absolutely, it's just like, don't think about it too hard. It's literally an ant that's on fire. It's an enormous ant. And I don't know what's with, like, the sheep wool, but anyway, speaking of sheeps, we get a follow-up sheep. I don't like this. I don't see what the sheep is going to do here. So notably, everything is at level 1, as mentioned, tournament game. The sheep kind of addresses fetch, but it's not... I don't know. I don't really like it. There's a healing spa, and you only have a single poison thing. Poison phobia. I feel like you need to overload on poison. Like, a Noxious is different. It's going to poison multiple things, require juggling on the healing spa. Here, it's just like... I don't know. There's so many melees. I never see this on this map. I mean, yeah, it usually ends up an army of lobbers and things like that. Looks like a hairball? Yes. This... Alright, so we get the great repositioning. I was kind of getting concerned here that this Murder Wing was going to be exposed. So, one point of note is that this Fire Ant is probably laying traps everywhere. And these are AoE traps, and they are significant traps, so, I don't know. We get the 1 key coming in. Hero is banked to 11, and we get a fish tank. This is scary. I mean, you can just go back and forth and trade 1 keys. You are at a key advantage. The answer is erratic. I like erratic here. It's very easy to get good chains while still protecting it. Okay, so there might be a trap here. This should tank it. Yeah, this will tank the trap, if there is one. And there is. Which is worth it to have the 1-drop do this. It also matters because now the Bachelor cannot possibly be killed by fire. It's absolutely going to be killed by an attack. I feel like that Rambolina's been sitting up in the north forever doing nothing. This is the other thing. I think, like... There's a poll online for our orange player, which is a big deal. Especially given the traps. Fratute automatically wins by using ranged units. Well, we know the Fratute loses because they even told us. Wait, this dies to the fire? Oh, yeah, it's 200 a turn, so who's going to die? Alright. In my head, I was thinking something different. Oh, no. This could be really bad. And we get a Motherload as follow-up. Alright. Erratic and Sheep and Gas on the same team. It's like a buddy cop movie. So we're just trading a bunch of, oh no, this could be the game. 3 keys to 5 keys. Yeah, this is a big deal, because this is one of those snowball errors. It's kind of like what I had in a game earlier tonight. Wow, and there was a trap there, too. This was a cool play from our bad guy, I'm not gonna lie. So this is a big deal. It traps the Rambolina, which means that you're effectively gonna lose 10 keys here. You can't punish anything. You'll be, like, minus 8 keys. This is a big deal. And there's no need for this Ginsting to be there. I get wanting to cover the center, but you have more than enough to do that. Whatever goes in there is dead, no matter what it is. Erratic, Sheep, pop this over, this. You can even come back with 1 hit. Basically, the Ginsting didn't need to be there. And I imagine this snowballs from here. You still have a panic point. No, you don't have a panic point advantage. You do get a triple hit with the Sheep. Yes, it won't poison the fish tank, but you get a kill. You get a big beefy erratic shot. Poison on the spider too, which is relevant. The boop here frees the Rambolina, which leads to a dead fetch. Okay, so fetch is... Where are we on keys? Okay, good guy's actually up on keys here. Good guy's actually up on keys here. If you don't get caught with a trap here, you're actually in pretty good shape. Jar to round it out. Okay. Fun fact, fire hurts. You know, it's a little known fact, but it is true. Alright, so the sheep is obviously going to die. Shocker. The spider's going to heal. So the sheep didn't do a whole hell of a lot, even though it got that triple hit. Because is erratic going to go in to follow this up? If it doesn't, then that damage is not irrelevant, but mostly irrelevant. We get a woolly bully. That's actually a little scary because it's going to hit the erratic, and the erratic is not going to be able to get away. Repositioning from the jar. So this Quagmire is pretty low. I have to imagine a trap went down this turn. I lost track. I feel like the forces for good guy are too spread here. Maybe not. I guess they're in a fine position. So this can hit the jar. Does that matter? Probably not at this level. No, it won't kill it. Get the power down on erratic. Big shock. How much does that power down? 300. Yeah, this was indicated as a tournament, Onda. Not mine, but a tournament. So I have to imagine there's a trap here. Oh, no. I get wanting to kill this, but the trap is going to go off.
That felt quite therapeutic.
If there's a trap here, it's going to ignite, and this is going to be very bad. So the erratic notably still keeps its electrical damage, for anybody curious. Yep. So the mother load taking damage isn't terrible. The jar is dead, though. Unless they don't go in. No, it'll die to the fire, because it didn't take the end of turn fire damage yet. Yeah, so jar's dead. That's a lot of damage. Is Spider live? Is the erratic dead? $3,400 health. Another trap. Granted, 2 phobies of theirs are getting ignited. I don't know if that was worth it for bad guy, but... Spider goes down. Right now, it feels like that turn was really bad, but I could be wrong. Wait, did this Rambolina need to hit twice? Matic Ginsting is just the ketchup flavor? What are we still talking about eating phobies?
Thought and retort is sure as torture. Those that fear you make you strong.
Okay, so Rambolina did need to hit twice. So as we look at it, this Rambolina is dead to fire. You have a damaged Motherlode, a damaged Chivo, and a Murder Wing who's about to die. Maybe not about to die. Versus their stuff. This seems still good for our hero here. Like, I could see taking a different line on those 2 pivotal turns, the invade here and the one before it. Well, a couple turns before it, but I understand why the plays were made. Is this a dead fish tank? Not quite. Wait a second. 540. 340. Was Meatball live? Meatball is live. I think you kill the fish tank here. I get wanting to save your stuff. But I think you kill the fish tank. Because if you kill the fish tank, you have to have Murder Wing here. So that means this comes in. Like, they need both to kill the Murder Wing. So Quagmire's in range. So you hit it twice with this for 700. You don't quite kill it. But I think I value the Hevo more than the Murder Wing at this stage. The damage was Xaxes on what? I feel like you have to remove the... unless the thought here was that there's just no way that they're going to kill my Hevo, and then, oops, they killed my Hevo. There goes my Hevo. Blowing up in my face. So 4-1 panic point advantage, but our hero has a fairly significant life lead. This map is too good for Fire Ant. Little spaces, tanky Fire Ant. There's a healing spot. Yeah, it's real good. It's real good. So obviously we get the beat down here onto the Quagmire. But this damage is adding up. Or will add up. So obviously they kill the Murder Wing. I think it might have come down to not killing the fish tank that turn. Because look at this, you don't even kill this, it lives with 10 health. And at this point, yeah, you can't run it down. So let's go back to that turn and see if that's actually where it is. So on this turn, you go in, you hit it for 410, you lob here, 340 health. You can't get it with a regular attack, but you can meatball it. So if you meatball this, the Murder Wing takes damage from the fire, takes 200 to 495. It still requires both Phobies to go in, both the Quagmire and the Snowball. That means next turn you deal 700, 1110, or not 1110. You do 705, so it's 1220. So you don't kill this, but you cripple it. And you still have a panic point advantage at that stage. Plus, you still have your Hevo. You lose a little bit of mobility, because you can, of course, fly around. But this is a 950 health Hevo that obviously eats it on this turn. I think this is what cost Fratute the game. What do you think, chat? Up until this point, there were those two major... watershed turns where you had that invade in the center that ultimately resulted in a big trap going off, and then you had the other one that was less significant earlier in the game. It's still significant. I think that the answer here is that you needed to kill the fish tank when you were able. Because you ultimately end up in the same position, but instead of having Hevo and Motherlode, you have Hevo and a Murder Wing that's about to die. Because the Motherlode would not die here. Or on the later turn. Granted, it could have taken damage from a different source, but this turn, they can't kill the Motherlode. Or the Hevo, because it's at like 900 health, right? It's at 950 health. It would not die to these 2 hits, whereas this does. Now, arguably, you could have also chosen to not go after this and preserve the Murder Wing. So if instead you send the Murder Wing to the north and cap this point, you're still okay. I think Fratute can win if he kills the fish tank. If Fratute still has Motherload and Hevo, the enemy has to come kill Murder Wing too. Exactly. Like, they have to walk into range, but the thing is that you don't get a counter kill when they come at it. Like, they kill the Murder Wing and take a bunch of damage. They don't die. And the damage is going to go down on the Quagmire, so it can just heal it. But there is an argument that maybe... So you kill the fish tank. Murder Wing's here. Obviously, Quagmire comes in here. Could you kill this? How much does this do? 2 tiles away. And line of sight. I do 260 plus 5. So you can't kill the snowball if you were to do this and a Hevo attack. So you'd probably just lay into the Quagmire. But that means it's Quagmire and Snowball versus Motherload and Hevo, and I think you're way better off than this. Enemy heart is low too. If enemy phobies run away, maybe Fratute can just hit the heart. It's low, but it's not that low. I don't think you can give up the entire map, but you could hypothetically just, like, yeah, you beat up Quagmire. Actually, I see what you're saying, Onda, because that's where I was going to go with it, now that I understand what you're saying. If you preserve Hevo and Motherload, you beat up Quagmire. The natural reaction for your opponent is going to be to run away. Where to is up for debate. They do have a lot of mobility. But that means that you can cap a point, say, including the one right next to their heart, and go for the heart. You have a huge life advantage at this point, and then you just lay into them. I think this is the turn. Then choosing not to kill this is the problem. Because ultimately, like, this is where you started this turn. So yeah, Fratute, I think this is the one that cost you. This is the one that got away. If this Murder Wing had come here, it would have tanked the fire, would have tanked 2 hits, and then I think you can win from this position. As it is here, losing the Hevo means that you just have worse phobies than they do, even though you kill everything. I'm trying to think, if you position the Murder Wing somewhere else, would it matter? But I doubt it. Yeah, I think it just kind of comes down to that. Like I said, I kind of disagreed with some of the other turns, but they were... Disagree as in, I would have done something different. That doesn't mean what I would have done would have been correct. It just would have been different. And maybe I would have lost harder instead of how Fratute did, which it obviously came down to a very close game. Speaking of food... If you are interested in hearing some of the arguably insane conversations that happen on stream, for example, we spent a good 2 hours talking about eating bugs. I don't know how much, like, not a lot of that is going to end up in the YouTube video. But if you come by the live stream, RTChompTG, links in the description, then you'll get to see it. Of course, you can always hit up the Random Thoughts Discord, where people are always talking Phobies and other games. And likes and subscribes on the YouTube channel, of course, always help. But that's going to do it for the Phobies section. So as always, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And Black Lives Matter.